The book of Isaiah. Who wrote the book of Isaiah? When you do your research and you check to see what both the Jewish and the Christian scholars have to say about that, it's a very complicated answer. You can get very frustrated over it. It turns out they really just don't know. They don't know who wrote the book of Isaiah. When you press the scholars to find out what they believe and what they're teaching, it turns out that they believe that maybe chapters 6 through 12 were probably written by the prophet Isaiah, but they really just don't know. They actually break up the book of Isaiah into three parts. Chapters 1 through 39, Proto-Isaiah or First Isaiah, and then Deutero-Isaiah or Second Isaiah, which is chapters 40 through 55, and then Third Isaiah or Trito-Isaiah, which is chapters 56 to 66. So they break it up like that because it's pretty clear from reading it that it wasn't all written in one time period, like by one person in one time period. Whoever wrote chapters 1 through 39 clearly lived before the Assyrian invasion of the northern kingdom of Israel, which happened around 722, 721 BCE. They lived before then, or just before then, and they lived before the later invasion of the southern kingdom of Judah by the Babylonians, which happened in the late 500s, like around 590 BCE. So anyway, whoever wrote the first 39 chapters of the book of Isaiah was warning both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of Judah about the oncoming invasions, that God was upset and angry over their sin and was going to use both of these empires to destroy both of the Hebrew kingdoms, northern Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel, and the southern kingdom of Judah. Whoever wrote what they call Second Isaiah, chapters 40 through 55, clearly they're talking like they were there. They were talking like they experienced exile, and they were talking to the people instead of about it. Like they were about it like it was a future event. They were talking like they were there, like they witnessed it. And it's the same problem with Third Isaiah, chapters 56 to 66. That person or persons who wrote that part clearly lived after the exile, meaning like when they were coming back. Either when they were coming back or well after it, talking about it as if they knew exactly what happened. They were talking to the people about coming back from exile instead of about it. So this is what the scholars are teaching. This is what they're saying. And when you read it yourself, you can see the same thing. It doesn't really take a really serious scholar to see all this. So one of the biggest issues with the authorship is that they really believe that it's not like one, two, or three different authors. They believe it's like well over 100 different authors to the book of Isaiah, and it took them between 200 to 300, maybe even 400 years to put it all together as we have it today. And then there's another complication with the book of Isaiah. It turns out that about 300 or 400 years BCE, a group of Jewish scholars, Greek-speaking Jewish scholars, created a copy of the Hebrew Bible that they call the Septuagint. It means 70, from the 70 or 72 Jewish scholars who were pressed or were requested, had a strong request from a Greek king called Ptolemy II to produce this Greek copy on behalf of the Greek king and Greek society. So anyway, concerning the book of Isaiah, the Hebrew text, the oldest Hebrew text says the part about the Hebrew Messiah being born of a virgin, he would be called Emmanuel. Well, it turns out in the most ancient Hebrew copy, it doesn't say virgin. That passage doesn't say virgin. The word that is used there is young lady or young maiden. That's the term that is used to describe how the Messiah is going to come. How is he going to be born? But when you get to the Septuagint, the Greek translation, they use the word virgin for that same passage, saying a virgin shall give birth to a son and be called Emmanuel. God is with us. So why would the Greek scholars during that time period, why would they give the Greek king and Greek society, an altered version of that passage from the book of Isaiah? Well, the answer might be because in Greek society, they believed in the gods and goddesses of Mount Olympus. And as anyone knows, that the gods of Mount Olympus, especially the gods of Mount Olympus, they would frequently come down to earth and have sex with mortal women, with human women, and produce children. The women would give birth to demigods, half men, half God. and these demigods would be heroes, and sometimes they was they would save the people, from troubles, even troubles from the gods. Anyway, this may be the reason why these Greek scholars altered the text concerning the Hebrew Messiah to fit a more Greek version of a Messiah, of a Savior and a hero, than what the Hebrews had been saying, which they've never said it was going to be that the Hebrew Messiah was going to be born of a virgin. That's something that the Greek scholars did. And that's pretty much where all the Bibles today, in modern times, all across the planet, that's pretty much what you have. You have basically a translation of the Septuagint version of Isaiah. That's why it says virgin and not young lady or young maiden. There's a few Bibles out there that have left it young maiden and young lady, but the vast majority of Bibles today come from or are influenced by the Septuagint Greek version of that passage, which says virgin. So what that means is that the ancient Hebrews were never expecting a virgin to give birth to the Hebrew Messiah. That's something that came from Greek influence. So this is some of the problems concerning the multiple authorship with the book of Isaiah, with the ancient copies. And I know somebody again will say, well, we should just take all these ancient copies and just compare it to the original. Again, we don't have the original. So we can't take all these ancient copies, all these different copies, and compare it to the original to see what is correct, because we don't have it. I'm overstating the point so you can understand that basically what you have today is a corrupted version of whatever the prophet Isaiah actually said. We don't know what he actually said. We don't know what he didn't say. What we do know is that a lot of people have used this name to promote both their religious and their political agendas. So to me, that means clearly, if we don't have the original Isaiah, then that means God didn't want us to have it. Because if he wanted us to have it, he would have gave a command, a decree, that these books, like the book of Isaiah, would have been preserved for all future generations. So since we didn't have it, we know he didn't give the decree. Because anything God says that he wants to happen, it's going to happen. Nothing can stop it, not even the devil. So he didn't give the decree, so that means that he didn't want us to have it. So whatever Isaiah had in his day was for him and his people, the people of the northern kingdom of Israel, and for the people of the southern kingdom of Judah. It wasn't for us. And we should be content with that. We should not try to make up stuff to make ourselves feel good or make us feel like we're right for believing what we believe in. This is the truth. It can be easily researched. You can find it, Google it, visit your local library, go to any Bible Institute. It's all there. I've been to the Spertus Institute, Moody Bible Institute. I've been to Moody Bible College. I've been to all these places. So you can easily find it if you go and look. All the scholars, all the teachers will be more than happy to answer your questions. They'll be more than happy to talk to you. You can call them. You don't even have to visit them. This information is readily available in many different ways. So you don't have to just depend on me. You can do the research yourself, and I encourage you to do that. Do that so you don't be deceived, because people are being deceived. This has been going on for a very long time, well over 1,000 years. And I hope that you will do the research and detach yourself from these deceptions. Okay? All right. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.